Now here in the U.S., the debate continues over accepting Syrian refugees in the wake of the Paris attacks.
And as we told you yesterday, live at 5, 2 lawmakers have asked Governor Gina Raimondo to rescind her offer to house refugees. Now we're learning the process and safety measures already in place to keep Rhode Islanders safe.
Eyewitness News reporter Steph Machado spoke to a local group who handles immigration. She continues our in-depth coverage live from the Providence Mobile Newsroom.
Well, as the number of governors across the country who don't want to accept Syrian refugees into their states rises, we wanted to know more about how refugees are screened and settled here, so we went to the experts. Since the 1920s, Dorcas International Institute has been helping refugees settle in Rhode Island, people who have fled their country and can't go back.
Because they're in fear of persecution. They have no other alternative.
Baha Saad says Rhode Island takes in about 200 refugees per year, mainly from Asian and African countries.
We have to actually find them a place to live, go to the airport, pick them up, and we're with them every step of the way.
But before that can ever happen, refugees go through a screening process with the U.S. government that can take years.
It's a long, drawn-out process.
Kathleen Cloutier is the executive director of Dorcas. She walked us through the federal screening process, which starts with security checks of the person's name through every agency system. Fingerprints and photographs are taken and run through FBI databases. A State Department official travels to the refugee for an in-person interview. There's a medical screening. Then, once resettlement is approved, there's a final Customs and Border Protection screening at one of 5 approved airports.
An average time could be 6 months to 2 years for somebody to be approved to come to the United States after they've been approved as a refugee.
So far, there are no Syrian refugees from the latest crisis in Rhode Island. Massachusetts has several dozen. And Governor Gina Raimondo says she'll take cues from the federal government when it comes to relocating Syrian refugees in Rhode Island. Coming up new at 6, the leaders of Dorcas respond to the many calls to halt those efforts. We're live with the Providence Mobile Newsroom. Steph Machado, Eyewitness News.
In the meantime, the debate over bringing Syrian refugees to the U.S. continues. At 5 o'clock, we brought you the details of how refugees are screened. New at 6, a local refugee organization responds to the many calls to halt those efforts. From the Providence Mobile Newsroom, Eyewitness News reporter Steph Machado is live outside the State House.
A group that helps resettle refugees in Rhode Island says current events like war or disease outbreak often color public opinion about whether people from the affected countries should settle in the U.S.
And that's one of our strengths.
Baha Saad helps resettle about 200 refugees into Rhode Island each year. He'll do the same for any possible Syrian refugees.
They're also fleeing from ISIS. That's the reason why they're fleeing their country.
He works for the Dorcas International Institute and explained how much more intense the screening process is for refugees entering the U.S. compared to Europe.
There's name check, fingerprinting, and sometimes DNA testing to make sure that they are actually related to the families that they claim to be related to.
Some leaders still aren't willing to take the chance, including Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker, who said Monday he doesn't support the resettlement of Syrians there. Others went further.
They should be resettled in the Middle East, in majority Muslim countries.
It's just pure discrimination from my perspective.
Kathleen Cloutier is the executive director of Dorcas.
I would say that, people's fears are unfounded.
The Institute is ready to help Syrians if they do come to Rhode Island, regardless of backlash.
Every day is a new challenge, and this is another one of those.
And people on both sides of this debate have urged Governor Gina Raimondo either to accept Syrian refugees or to refuse to. She says she'll take her cues from the federal government and will decide what to do if and when she's asked to house them. Live with the Providence Mobile Newsroom, Steph Machado, Eyewitness News.